Earth was far from the center of the galaxy. It was a small blue world, orbiting an ordinary star, surrounded by an empty region of space that most star maps barely mentioned. For centuries, the people of Earth had watched the galaxy from a distance. They had learned about other species, other civilizations, and even other wars, but no one paid much attention to them. Humanity was seen as peaceful, harmless, and too far away from important trade routes to matter. Captain Daniel Brooks served on the Silver Horizon, long-range exploration ship that spent most of its time surveying uncharted systems. Daniel had grown used to the silence of deep space. The Silver Horizon was an older vessel, but reliable. Its crew was small, with only 40 people, each skilled in their own work. They were scientists, engineers, pilots, and navigators who mapped asteroid belts, scanned planets, and cataloged strange phenomena. For most of them, their mission was routine. Even dull at times, Daniel often stood in the observation deck, looking out at the endless stars. He enjoyed the quiet. Life on the edge of known space was simple, and Earth's fleet was rarely called into any conflict. The galaxy's politics were complicated, and humanity had wisely stayed away from them. The large powers, the Core Alliance. The Zethri Dominion. The Sarin Union were too busy with each other to worry about a small civilization on the edge, but deep inside. Daniel sometimes wondered how long that peace would last. Humanity was growing. Colonies were spreading across nearby systems. The shipyards at Luna and Mars were building larger vessels every year. It was only a matter of time before someone in the galaxy noticed. On a quiet day, as the Silver Horizon cruised through a remote asteroid field, a strange signal reached their sensors. It was faint, almost buried under background noise, but it did not match any natural pattern. Laura Mitchell, the ship's chief scientist, adjusted the filters and frowned. "This isn't a star or a pulsar," she said. "It's artificial. And it's very old." Daniel leaned over her console, studying the readings. The signal pulsed at regular intervals, like a heartbeat from across the void. Its source was somewhere deep within the asteroid field. "Can you trace it?" Daniel asked. Laura nodded slowly. "Yes, but it's weak. We'll have to go in closer. And Captain, something else. The power signature doesn't match any known species. Not even ancient archives have anything close to this." So that caught Daniel's attention. In the galaxy, technology had certain recognizable patterns. This meant whoever built this was either lost to history or had never been encountered. Before he gave the order to adjust course, the Silver Horizon's engines hummed softly as they navigated through the dense asteroid field. Rocks the size of mountains drifted lazily, their surfaces scarred from eons of collisions. The crew worked carefully, using thrusters to avoid debris. After several tense minutes, the source of the signal came into view: massive, jagged asteroid, with a metallic structure embedded deep inside its surface. The structure was dark, covered in layers of dust and rock. Only a faint blue glow pulsed from its core. "It's a station," Laura whispered. "Or what's left of one." Daniel studied the readings again. Life signs. None but it's still powered. Barely. They prepared a small shuttle to investigate. Daniel, Laura, and two security officers, Ethan Brooks and Megan Turner, suited up in lightweight exploration armor. As they approached the structure, the signal grew stronger, each pulse echoing through their comms. Inside, the station was silent. Dust floated in the airless corridors. The walls were lined with strange symbols that none of them could recognize. The architecture was unlike anything in human databases. The rooms were filled with broken machinery, but some parts still emitted a faint hum. As if refusing to die, in what appeared to be the central chamber, they found a cylindrical device, connected to half-collapsed conduits. It was the source of the glow in the signal. Laura examined it closely. "This is incredible. The energy output is stable, even after what must be thousands of years. Captain, if we can figure out how this works, it could power a city for centuries. Daniel felt a mix of awe and caution. This was the kind of discovery that could change humanity's future and attract dangerous attention. In the galaxy, rare technology was often worth more than entire planets. They transported the device back to the Silver Horizon, sealing it in a secure research bay. Daniel knew their mission had just changed. This was no longer just an exploration trip. Whatever they had found could be humanity's greatest opportunity, or its greatest threat. As the ship pulled away from the asteroid, the signal abruptly stopped. The faint glow inside the device dimmed for a moment before returning. Daniel didn't notice, but far away, in the heart of the Core Alliance, deep space, listening posts recorded a brief, unfamiliar signal, one that would soon reach the ears of alien leaders. For the first time, the galaxy would turn its eyes toward Earth. The return journey to Earth was tense. The Silver Horizon carried something that none of them fully understood. The strange device sat locked in the research bay, surrounded by monitoring equipment. Laura Mitchell barely left its side, running scans and recording every pulse of energy. It released. She spoke little, but her eyes revealed both excitement and fear. Captain Daniel Brooks felt the same mix of emotions. The galaxy was full of secrets, but this one felt different. The device was ancient, powerful, and still alive in some way. Its soft blue glow gave the impression of a sleeping giant. He wondered if waking it might bring danger. Back on Earth, the news of their find was kept hidden from the public. Only a small circle of government officials and military leaders were informed. The president called for a closed meeting in the underground command center beneath Washington. Daniel, Laura, and several high-ranking officers gathered around a long table. The device's scans projected in front of them. "We don't know who built it," Laura explained, her voice calm but steady. "But I can say this: its energy output is far beyond anything we have. It's compact, efficient, and stable. If we can learn how to reproduce it, our ships could travel farther, faster, and carry weapons and shields no one in the galaxy would expect from us." One of the generals leaned forward. "And you're certain no one else knows about this?" Daniel hesitated. "We detected no ships nearby. But I can't guarantee that no one picked up the signal." The general nodded grimly. "Then we have to assume others did, and they won't sit back if they think we found something valuable," the president agreed. "This is now our top priority. The device will be moved to the Lunar Research Facility. It's the most secure lab we have. Captain Brooks, you and your crew are assigned to assist with the study. If this technology can be adapted, it could change our future forever." Over the next months, work at the lunar facility moved at a relentless pace. Engineers, scientists, and technicians from across the colonies arrived to help. Laura led the main research team, while Daniel oversaw security. Every detail of the device was analyzed: its materials, its design, the patterns in its energy pulses. They discovered that the device's core was built from an alloy unknown to human science, one that could withstand immense energy flows without degrading. More surprisingly, the internal structure seemed to guide energy in a way that defied normal physics. It didn't just store power, amplified it. One night, while most of the team rested, Laura stayed in the lab, watching the device. She noticed a slight change in the rhythm of its pulses. They were faster, almost as if reacting to something. She recorded the data and sent it to Daniel. The next morning, Daniel reviewed her findings. "It's responding," he said quietly. "To what?" Though they soon had an answer. A week later, an unidentified ship entered the Sol system. It was sleek, dark, and unlike any known design. It didn't respond to hails, and its movements were slow and deliberate. As if searching for something, Earth's defense scrambled several patrol ships, but the intruders stayed just beyond Mars, never engaging. After several tense hours, it turned and left, disappearing into deep space. But the message was clear. Someone out there knew. Security at the lunar facility was increased. Work continued, but the team moved faster. Using the alien design, engineers began constructing a prototype power core for a human-built ship. The test vessel, named Iron Dawn, was designed to carry a weapon powered by this new core. Ethan Brooks, Daniel's younger brother and the Iron Dawn's pilot, couldn't hide his excitement. You know what this means, right? If it works, no one will ever push us around again. Daniel was less optimistic. It also means they'll try harder to stop us. This isn't just about defense anymore. Months later, the prototype was ready. The Iron Dawn floated in the dry dock above Luna, its black hole reflecting the stars. The new power core pulsed deep inside, silent but strong. The weapon it powered a massive railgun, capable of launching projectiles at a fraction of light speed waited for its first test. The test site was chosen far from trade routes, in a system with no inhabited worlds. As the Iron Dawn arrived, Daniel stood on the bridge, looking out at the target, an asteroid nearly the size of a small moon. Ethan's voice broke the silence. "Ready when you are, Captain." Daniel gave the order. The ship vibrated as energy flowed into the railgun. A deep hum filled the bridge, rising in pitch until the shot fired. The projectile streaked across the void and struck the asteroid. Asterisk. The explosion was silent in the vacuum, but the asteroid shattered into fragments, debris scattering in every direction. The crew stared in awe. The weapon worked. Humanity now held power it had never dreamed possible. Daniel knew the galaxy would hear of this, and when they did, everything would change. Asterisk. The test of the Iron Dawn had been a complete success, but it also created ripples across the galaxy. Even though the site was remote, nothing in space truly went unnoticed. Merchant ships passing through nearby sectors reported seeing a flash brighter than any natural event. Within weeks, rumors began to spread. Stories of a human warship destroying a moon-sized asteroid in a single strike reached the ears of alien traders. Diplomats and military officers in the capital of the Zathri Dominion, the High Council, met in secret. The Zathri were a proud and aggressive species known for their powerful fleets. Their leader, High Warlord Kareth, listened to his advisors with narrowed eyes. "Humans should not have this kind of power," one counselor growled. "They were insignificant. Now they have a weapon that could destroy our warships with ease." Kareth's voice was calm but dangerous. "If the rumors are true, we must act before they grow stronger. The Dominion cannot allow a new rival to rise on our border." While alien leaders debated, life aboard the Iron Dawn settled into a new routine. Captain Daniel Brooks kept his crew busy with drills and patrols, but he could sense the tension building. The galaxy would not ignore them for long. One evening, Daniel stood on the bridge, watching the stars drift past. Ethan Brooks joined him. Holding a mug of coffee, "You think they'll come for us?" Ethan asked quietly. Daniel didn't answer right away. "They will, it's just a matter of when. The question is, will they come to talk or to fight?" Back on Earth, President Laura Hayes received intelligence reports confirming that Zathri scout ships had been spotted near human space. They kept their distance, but their presence was a warning. The president ordered the fleet to be placed on heightened alert. Meanwhile, research on the alien device continued. Laura Mitchell and her team discovered that the original builders had designed it not just as a power source, but as part of a larger network. The device was capable of linking with others of its kind, sharing energy and data across vast distances. "If there are more of these out there," Laura explained to Daniel during a secure transmission, It means the original civilization might have had an entire grid spanning the stars. This one unit is powerful, but connected to others. It could power an entire fleet indefinitely. Daniel frowned. And if the Zathri realize that, they'll want it even more. 2 weeks later, a convoy of human freighters was ambushed on the edge of the Vega system. The attackers were not pirates. They were Zathri ships, testing human defenses. The Iron Dawn and 2 escort cruisers were dispatched to respond. The battle was short but fierce. The Zathri ships were fast and heavily armed, but the Iron Dawn's railgun made the difference. One shot crippled their lead destroyer, forcing the others to retreat. The victory was clear, but Daniel knew it was only the beginning. After the battle, the crew celebrated quietly. Ethan slapped Daniel on the back. We showed them we're not to be messed with. Daniel nodded, but kept his thoughts to himself. The Zathri would not give up. They were testing human strength, learning how the railgun worked, and waiting for the right moment. In the weeks that followed, tensions rose across the border. Trade slowed as merchants avoided the dangerous zones. The Galactic Council, a loose alliance of major powers, called for a meeting to discuss the human weapon problem. Daniel was ordered to attend as a military representative. He traveled to the neutral station of Solara Prime, where delegates from dozens of species gathered. The atmosphere was tense, with alien envoys whispering about the Iron Dawn. During the session, the Saren Union's ambassador spoke sharply. Humanity has upset the balance of power. We demand full disclosure of this weapon's capabilities and the sharing of its technology. Daniel stood calmly. Earth has no obligation to share what it has built. We developed this to defend ourselves, not to threaten others. But if anyone tries to take it by force, they will regret it. The room fell silent. The Zathri ambassador glared but said nothing. Daniel could see the message had been received. On his return to the Iron Dawn, Daniel received word from Laura Mitchell. She had detected faint signals matching the alien devices' pattern in a distant system. There was more than one device out there, and someone else might be looking for them. Daniel looked out at the stars, knowing their journey was far from over. The race for the alien technology had begun, and the next steps would decide whether humanity became a true galactic power or faced its greatest war. Asterisk. The discovery of another possible alien device changed everything. Laura Mitchell's readings showed that the faint signals came from the Orion Fringe, a region of space far beyond settled human colonies. It was a dangerous area, full of unstable stars, uncharted asteroid belts, and rumors of pirate activity. But if another device was there, it could not be ignored. Captain Daniel Brooks received direct orders from President Laura Hayes. The Iron Dawn was to investigate and secure the site before anyone else could. The mission was classified at the highest level. Only the crew and a handful of officials knew the truth. The Iron Dawn left Luna Station under the cover of a routine patrol. The crew suspected the real reason, but Daniel kept details to a minimum. He trusted his people, but the fewer who knew, the safer the mission. As they approached the Orion Fringe, the stars grew dimmer and more scattered. Space here felt empty and unnerving. Long stretches of silence filled the bridge, broken only by the hum of the ship's systems. "I don't like this," Ethan Brooks muttered as he checked navigation. "Too quiet." Laura Mitchell studied her instruments. "The signal is stronger now. We're getting close. It's coming from inside that asteroid field ahead." Daniel nodded. "Helm, take us in slowly. Keep shields up." The asteroid field was dense with massive rocks drifting lazily in the void. The Iron Dawn weaved between them, using thrusters to make precise adjustments. Suddenly, the sensors picked up movements, small ships lurking between the rocks. "Pirates, Megan Turner," reported from Tactical. 3, maybe 4 ships. They're watching us." Daniel's voice was steady. "Weapons ready, but don't fire unless they make a move." The pirates shadowed them for several minutes before breaking off. Perhaps the sight of the Iron Dawn's railgun made them think twice. Finally, they reached the source of the signal. A large asteroid had been hollowed out, revealing a hidden structure inside. Like the first device, it pulsed with a soft blue light, though this one was dimmer, almost fading. A small team suited up and boarded the structure. The corridors were narrow, lined with strange markings. Dust floated in the airless environment, and fragments of machinery lay scattered across the floors. In the central chamber, they found a device almost identical to the first, but damaged. Cracks ran along its surface, and one side had collapsed entirely. Laura examined it carefully. "It's weaker, but still active. If we can repair it, we might learn even more about how these things work." They began preparations to transport the device back to the Iron Dawn. But before they could finish, the ship's comms came alive. "Captain?" Megan's voice was urgent. "We've got incoming CO-3 ships, 2 destroyers and a cruiser. They're closing fast." Daniel cursed under his breath. Back to the ship now. The crew moved quickly, hauling the damaged device into the shuttle. The Zathri ships were minutes away when the Iron Dawn raised shields and powered weapons. Daniel knew they couldn't fight here in the middle of the asteroid field without risking the device. "Ethan, plot us a way out fast." The Iron Dawn darted through the asteroid field, weaving between massive rocks as the Zathri ships fired sporadically. One shot grazed their shields, making the ship shudder. The railgun crew stood ready, but Daniel held his fire. Once clear of the asteroids, the Zathri pushed harder, closing the gap. Daniel made his choice. Railgun full charge. The weapon roared to life, drawing power from the alien core. A single shot streaked across the void, slamming into the lead Zathri destroyer. The impact tore through its hull, sending it spinning out of control. The remaining ships pulled back instantly. The Iron Dawn jumped to FTL, carrying the damaged device safely away. Back at Luna Station, the damaged device was moved to the research labs. Laura Mitchell and her team worked day and night, discovering that even in its broken state, the second device contained components missing from the first. Together, they offered more clues about the original builders. Asterisk. Daniel reported to President Hayes. "They know we're collecting these devices, and they're not going to stop coming." The president's expression was grim. "Then we'll be ready for them. If they want to test us, we'll show them exactly what humanity is capable of." Daniel left the meeting knowing the galaxy's quiet days were over. The hunt for the alien technology had officially become a race, and humanity could not afford to lose. Asterisk, the second alien device had given humanity new insight into its mysterious builders. But it also confirmed the danger they faced. Terry had been willing to risk ships and lives to stop the Iron Dawn from taking it. That meant they understood its value, at least in part. Now, every intelligence report spoke of increased Zathri fleet activity along the border in the Luna Research Labs. Laura Mitchell and her team worked tirelessly. Combining parts from the first and second devices, they began to reconstruct what they believed was a complete power system. The new core design was even more efficient, producing energy levels far beyond anything human reactors could match. Daniel Brooks visited the lab often, not just to check progress, but to understand what they were building. Laura explained that this was no ordinary power source, had layers of control systems designed to interface with something much larger. "It's like a puzzle piece," she told him. "The core is meant to link with others, forming a network. Alone, it's powerful. Together, they could power entire fleets without refueling." Daniel thought about the implications. If the Zathri get even one, they could build something that would tip the balance in their favor. Meanwhile, tensions continued to rise. A human colony in the Vega sector reported sightings of unidentified ships shadowing transport routes. Merchants complained of delayed deliveries and increased inspections by Zathri patrols. The Galactic Council called another meeting, but Earth's leaders refused to discuss the alien technology openly. One evening, as Daniel reviewed reports, in his quarters aboard the Iron Dawn, Ethan came in with urgent news. "We've got orders," Ethan said. Long-range probes detected another signal same pattern as the devices. "This one's near the Alaris Rift." Daniel raised an eyebrow. The Alaris Rift was a dangerous region where space itself seemed unstable, with gravitational anomalies and sudden bursts of radiation. Few ships dared to travel there. "Who else knows?" Daniel asked. "So far, just us." "But you know that won't last." The Iron Dawn set course immediately. The journey took days, with constant adjustments to avoid the rift's hazards. The closer they got, the more the ship's instruments struggled to stay accurate. Strange energy spikes danced across the sensors, and navigation required both skill and luck. When they reached the coordinates, they found the source hidden inside a drifting fragment of a shattered world. The fragment's surface was jagged, and large pieces slowly broke away into the void. Nestled inside was the familiar blue glow of a device, this one fully intact. Laura's voice came over the comm. "Readings confirm it's in perfect condition." This could be the key to understanding the whole system. Daniel ordered a retrieval team. The operation was delicate. The fragment's unstable nature meant the shuttle had to land carefully to avoid triggering a collapse. The crew worked quickly, securing the device and returning it to the Iron Dawn. But just as they prepared to leave, alarms blared. "Multiple ships inbound," Megan Turner reported. "Zathri signatures 5 vessels, including a battleship." Daniel's mind raced. They couldn't outrun a battleship in normal space. "Prepare the railgun. Target the lead ship." The Zathri hailed them. On the screen, a tall, scaled figure appeared. Admiral Kareth himself. "Humans," Kareth said in a deep, commanding voice. "You have something that does not belong to you. Hand it over, and you may leave unharmed." Daniel stood firm. "This device belongs to no one. We found it, and we will keep it. If you want to test us, go ahead." Kareth's eyes narrowed. "Very well." The Zathri ships moved in formation, weapons charging. The Iron Dawn fired first. The railgun shot tore through the enemy cruiser, sending it into a spiraling wreck. The other ships scattered, but the battleship kept coming. Ethan pushed. The engines too full, weaving between debris as the railgun recharged. The battleship fired a massive volley, shaking the Iron Dawn's shields. Sparks flew across the bridge, shields at 60%. Megan called out. "Charge complete," came the railgun officer's voice. Daniel gave the order. The second shot slammed into the battleship's forward section, breaching its hull. Fires erupted across its surface, and it began to pull back. Limping away with the remaining escorts, the Iron Dawn escaped into FTL with the device safely aboard. Back at Luna, the intact core was installed alongside the others. When activated, the 3 devices began to pulse in perfect harmony. Confirming Laura's theory, they were meant to work together. Daniel knew what this meant. Humanity was no longer just defending itself. They were assembling a power that could make them a true force in the galaxy. But he also knew the Zathri would stop at nothing to destroy them before that. The Zathri fleet entered human space without warning. Their ships were large, dark, and covered in sharp armor plates that made them look like floating blades. They moved in perfect formation, as if they had done this many times before. The people of Earth watched from news broadcasts and live feeds, feeling both fear and anger. No one had ever seen such a large alien force so close to their worlds. Captain Daniel Brooks stood on the bridge of the Iron Dawn. The ship was ready for battle, but he knew the enemy was stronger in numbers. He looked at the display showing the Zethri ships and thought about the message they had sent. Surrender the technology or face destruction. It was not a request, was a threat. And Daniel had no plans to surrender. In the command room, Olivia Carter worked quickly. With her team of engineers, they were making final checks on the main weapon, the massive cannon that could destroy anything in its path. It had only been fired once before in a test, but now it would be used in a real battle. Every calculation had to be perfect. She looked at her screens, adjusted the power flow, and gave a small nod to the captain. Pilot Ethan Brooks, Daniels' younger brother, sat at the controls, watching the enemy ships grow larger on the main screen. His hands were steady, but his mind raced. He remembered their father's words from long ago. Never start a fight, but if you have to fight, end it quickly. That was exactly what they planned to do. Megan Turner, the tactical officer, studied the enemy formation. They're testing our defenses, she said quietly. The smaller ships are moving ahead, scanning for weaknesses. Daniel gave her a short nod. Let them come closer, he replied. They think we'll be afraid. They're wrong. Outside, in the darkness of space, the two fleets moved toward each other. The human defense cruisers spread out, creating a protective wall around the Iron Dawn. The Zethri ships slowed their speed, as if waiting for the humans to make the first move. The silence on the comms was tense. Everyone was waiting for the first shot. Suddenly, a bright beam from one of the Zethri cruisers cut across the void and struck a human escort ship. The shields flared and the ship rocked under the impact. Damage reports came in quickly, but the escorts stayed in position. Daniel's jaw tightened. Megan, he said, target their lead cruiser. Power up the main cannon. Olivia's team began transferring energy from all non-essential systems to the weapon. Lights dimmed slightly on the bridge as the Iron Dawn's core poured power into the charging process. The hum of the ship grew deeper, a sound that every crew member felt in their bones. The Zethri commander, watching from his own bridge, saw the humans preparing to fire. He did not believe their weapon could be as powerful as the rumors claimed. He ordered his ships to advance, hoping to intimidate them into stopping. But Daniel was not intimidated. Cannon at 90%, Olivia reported. 10 seconds to full charge. Ethan's hands gripped the controls tightly. Megan's eyes never left the targeting screen. Daniel gave the final order. Fire. A beam of white energy burst from the front of the Iron Dawn. It was brighter than any star in the sky. A line of pure power that crossed the space between the ships in less than a second. The lead Zethri cruiser didn't even have time to raise its shields before the blast hit. The ship split apart in a flash, torn into burning fragments that scattered in all directions. Gasps filled the bridge, but no one celebrated. The other Zethri ships froze in place. For the first time in years, the warriors of the Zethri felt fear. The weapon had destroyed their strongest ship in one strike. The battlefield fell silent. Daniel looked at the remaining enemy ships. Send them a message, he said to Megan. Tell them we will defend our worlds. Tell them to leave now. The message was sent, but no reply came. Instead, the Zethri ships began to turn away, slowly at first, then faster. Within minutes, they were leaving human space. The danger was over, but the crew knew this would not be the last time the galaxy tested them. Olivia leaned back in her chair, exhausted. It worked, she said softly. Daniel nodded. It did. And now the whole galaxy knows what we can do. The Iron Dawn and its escorts began their slow journey back toward Earth. The stars outside looked calm again. But the crew understood that everything had changed. Humanity was no longer a quiet, ignored race on the edge of the galaxy. They had shown their strength, and there was no turning back. Asterisk. The news of the battle spread across the galaxy within hours. Traders, diplomats, and spies carried the story to every world they visited. Some told it as a warning, others as a tale of awe. Humanity, once seen as weak and unimportant, had destroyed a powerful warship with a single shot. The event became known as the Day of the White Light Dot in the human capital on Earth. Leaders gathered to discuss the next steps. President Laura Bennett sat at the head of the long table in the council chamber. She listened to the reports from military officers and intelligence agents. The Zathri had retreated, but their pride was wounded. They might return, and if they did, it would be with more force. Admiral Ryan Carter stood to speak. "We cannot assume they are gone for good," he said. "We need stronger defenses and faster response times. Every colony and station must be ready." His voice was firm, but there was also a sense of pride in his tone. For the first time, humanity had stood against one of the galaxy's major powers and won far away. On a Zathri War Council ship, their leaders were in turmoil. Some demanded revenge. Others argued for caution, fearing the strange weapon the humans had used. There, Commander Krasthalin had seen the destruction with his own eyes. He warned them that humans were not to be underestimated. But not everyone listened. Back on Earth, Captain Daniel Brooks was ordered to lead training exercises with other fleets. The Iron Dawn became the centerpiece of a new defense strategy. Crews from different ships came to learn from its systems and its people. Olivia Carter taught engineers how to maintain the powerful cannon. Ethan Brooks worked with pilots to improve coordination in battle. Megan Turner trained tactical officers on targeting and timing. Life on the ship was busy, but tense. The crew knew that the galaxy was watching them. Every move they made was recorded, studied, and sometimes criticized. But they also felt a growing sense of unity. They were part of something bigger now. They were not just defending Earth. They were shaping humanity's future. One day, while the Iron Dawn was docked at a station near Mars, Daniel received a message from the Council. A small delegation from another alien race, the Varelians, wanted to meet. They claimed to have information about the Zathri and their plans. The meeting was set to take place aboard the Iron Dawn. The Varelians arrived in a sleek, silver shuttle. They were tall and thin, with skin that shimmered in shades of blue and green. Their leader, Salora Ven, spoke in a calm voice. "We saw what happened in your battle," she said. "The Zathri will not forgive you. They are gathering allies. But we do not wish to see them grow stronger." Daniel studied her carefully. "Why help us?" He asked. Salora's eyes shifted color slightly, a sign of honesty among her kind. "Because, if they destroy you, we will be next. They believe in domination. We believe in balance." The Varelians offered intelligence on Zathri fleet movements and weaknesses in their supply lines. In exchange, they asked for trade agreements and shared defense technology. It was a risk, but President Bennett approved the alliance. Humanity could not afford to stand alone. With new allies came new challenges. Joint training missions were held in deep space. Human and Varelian crews worked together, learning each other's ways. Some found it difficult, but most understood the importance of unity. Slowly, trust began to grow. Meanwhile, whispers spread through the galaxy. Other races were considering their positions. Some thought humanity was dangerous. Others saw them as potential partners. The balance of power was shifting, and no one could predict where it would lead. On the edge of known space, a Zathri scout ship observed the joint exercises from a distance. Its captain recorded every movement, every formation. The data was sent back to Zathri Command, where plans were already being drawn. They would strike again, but not without careful preparation. On the Iron Dawn's bridge, Megan watched the Varelian ships maneuver with graceful precision. She turned to Daniel and said quietly, They fight differently than us, but they're good. We might actually have a chance if the Zathri come back." Daniel gave a small smile. "Then we'll be ready. This time, they won't be facing just humanity. They'll be facing everyone who believes in standing free." As the joint fleet sailed through the stars, the crew felt a quiet strength building. The galaxy might still doubt them, but they knew the truth. Humanity was no longer a backwater race. They were a rising power, and their story was only beginning. The months passed quickly. Humanity's alliance with the Varelians grew stronger. Trade ships began to move between their worlds, carrying goods, technology, and stories. The Iron Dawn became a symbol of this new friendship, traveling between systems as both a guardian and a messenger. Captain Daniel Brooks often found himself speaking to leaders of other alien races. Some were curious, others suspicious. Every conversation was a step in a larger game, one that could decide the future of humanity. Daniel knew that one wrong move could undo all they had built. On the other side of the galaxy, the Zathri continued to prepare. Their war council met in secret, far from the eyes of spies. Kraz Thalon pushed for caution, warning of the humans' strange weapon and their growing alliances. But voices of pride and anger drowned him out. The decision was made they would strike at a key human colony to show the galaxy that the Zathri were still the strongest. The attack came without warning. In the early hours of the colony's morning, Zathri ships appeared in orbit. They moved with precision, cutting off escape routes and targeting communication arrays. Panic spread through the colony as defense forces scrambled to respond. On the Iron Dawn, an urgent signal came through. Daniel ordered the crew to battle stations. "Set course for the colony," he said, his voice calm but sharp. "We're not letting them take it." The journey was tense. Every member of the crew knew what was at stake. Olivia checked the cannon systems twice, making sure everything was ready. Megan reviewed tactical plans with the Varelian captains who were part of the joint fleet. Ethan monitored sensor readings, watching for any sign of an ambush. When they arrived, the scene was chaos. Zathri ships surrounded the colony, firing on its surface. Buildings burned, and the defense forces were barely holding. Daniel didn't hesitate. "Target the lead ship," he ordered. The Iron Dawn's main cannon fired, a blinding streak of light crossing the void. The Zathri ship erupted in a burst of flame and debris. The joint fleet moved in, pressing the attack. Human and Varelian ships worked together, their movements now smooth from months of training. The battle was fierce. The Zathri fought with skill and fury, but they were not prepared for the unity of their opponents. One by one, their ships fell. Some tried to retreat, but the fleet cut off their escape. Within an hour, the battle was over. On the surface, relief spread through the colony. Survivors came out of shelters, cheering as the fleet passed overhead. Messages of thanks poured in from the colony's leaders. But Daniel knew it was not the end. The Zathri would not stop after one defeat. This was only the beginning of something larger. Back on Earth, President Laura Bennett addressed the galaxy in a broadcast. "We will not be intimidated," she said. "We will defend our people and our allies. The galaxy is vast, but we believe there is room for all who seek peace. To those who seek war, we will meet you." Her words echoed through space. Some races heard them as a call for unity. Others took them as a challenge. The galaxy was shifting, and humanity was now at the center of its storms. On the Iron Dawn, the crew gathered in the mess hall. The battle had taken its toll, but there was also a feeling of pride. They had stood together, fought together, and won. Megan looked around the room, seeing tired but determined faces. "We're not just protecting our home anymore," she said quietly. "We're protecting something bigger." Daniel nodded. "And we'll keep doing it, no matter how far we have to go." Outside, the stars stretched endlessly. Somewhere out there, the Zathri were already planning their next move. But humanity was ready now. They had allies, they had strength, and they had the will to fight for their place in the galaxy. The Iron Dawn continued its patrol, a lone ship among countless stars. But it was not just a ship, it was a sign of change. Humanity was no longer a forgotten race on a small blue planet. They were a rising power, and their story was far from over. Asterisk.